Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very rare, but basically same day of review of WWE Extreme Rules, which just finished about a couple hours ago. I mean, it is already now Monday, about 1 a.m. Eastern Time. So, yes, it's very rare that I get to come give you almost right after pay-per-view thoughts. Before we get into the pay-per-view, wishing everyone a happy Victoria Day in the great country of Canada as we get the day off here. And of course, there's a big Memorial Day holiday next weekend in the United States. But anyways, we're here to talk Extreme Rules. The pay-per-view was tonight, and I thought overall it was a really solid show. There was maybe about 25 minutes to half an hour that absolutely dragged on this show, which we'll get into very shortly. But overall, it was a thumbs-up show in my mind. Something to definitely take a look at the replays on the network or the on-demand features. Definitely something that was very enjoyable and solid. So, I mean, I even got, saw the pre-show match, Dolph Ziggler versus Baron Corbin. Honestly, Corbin came in after WrestleMania on a pretty hot streak. He wins the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal and, has a loss at the last pay-per-view, Payback, and then he now gets a victory over Ziggler. I don't know where this goes. I mean, this guy, I think there is a lot of potential in him, but now when you look at what the WWE's doing with Big Cass going solo a little bit while Enzo still recovers from his injury, the company's got maybe a bit more stock in Enzo going full solo. I mean, he's also tall, has, a reaction with the crowd in a much more standing way, can cut a solid promo on his own. I could see them, down the line maybe giving, in another couple years you just look and see, well, maybe Big Cass got the big break as a solid big man. And, there's just something, I don't know what it is. He's got the look. He's got, solid entrance, solid charisma. He just hasn't, and he's, quite talented in the ring when it comes to it, but he just can't connect with this crowd at all. And I mean, working with Ziggler right now is doing him no favors, who hasn't really done much, in the past year or so. So, wasn't the, it was an okay match. It was there. Corbin wins. I don't know where he can move on from there. He needs something exciting, and who knows to say what they do with Ziggler. Then moving on to the start of the pay-per-view, we had the club tag members of Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson versus the Usos. And I thought it was a solid little opening tag match. Tornado rules. Always like those. Shout out to WWF Warzone, the video game, where that was a big, gimmick match you could do. Personally, I think the Usos are just a fantastic team. I mean, they may be one of the best teams WWE's brought in or had on their roster in years. These guys can work with anybody and put solid matches on. Not to say that Gallows and Anderson are a bad tag team, as they're certainly not a very solid tag team in their own right, but I just love watching the Usos work with anyone and whatever that they put on. Solid match. The Gallows and Anderson got the victory with the Magic Killer. And, obviously they're setting up that maybe, as they hit that move on the, I believe, a bell, the ring bell, and, maybe this is going to be, the Usos are going to be hurt and can't participate to help out Roman Reigns in the title match later on. I mean, obviously they showed up, but I mean, that was the storyline, and I feel like the Usos do an amazing job of selling and bumping for guys, and it was a much needed win for Gallows and Anderson to move up in the tag division ranks. The next match was for the United States Championship, where Kalisto defended against Rusev. I mean, the match was there. I think, obviously the company's really getting back behind Rusev and Lana after, they tried that feud, which didn't work at all with, Lana as the babyface with Ziggler and Rusev with Summer Rae. Now they're back together, obviously, and I think they're doing a big push with them because, Rusev's a solid worker. I think he really fills this role well as a, monstering, athletic brute of a wrestler. And like I said, I like the role he's in here. I thought, him and Kalisto maybe didn't have the best matches that they potentially could. But I will say, when they did, the finish was basically Kalisto was on the top rope, was looking to do a high risk move, and Rusev knocked him off the top rope, and he fell on the apron and basically did an amazing sell job. I will say they give that to Kalisto, where it looked like he may have has partial paralysis or whatever, and then Rusev was able to pull him in and put on this nasty looking acolyte where basically Kalisto's back did a capital V. It was bent all the way back. Really looked nasty. Shows the intense flexibility that Kalisto has. So we have a title change, and I think it's, like I said, it's the proper role. I like Rusev getting this title, and I like them pushing them. Lana and Rusev are going to be on the new seasons of Total Divas, so I think that has something to do with it as well. But honestly, I think Rusev getting this run now is good. I mean, he's been kind of dwindling towards the end of last year after Cena beat him at WrestleMania 31. And, just floundering when he was in the League of Nations. And he seems to have rededicated himself. I mean, he's really gotten himself back in solid shape, maybe in better shape than when he originally had the U.S. title back about a year ago or so. So I think, this is going to be a solid run. And, there's a lot of babyface challengers that are out there for him that they can have feud with Rusev. I mean, and I think with him having the streak gimmick on there where he hasn't lost also helps add to the creativity of the feuds that they can do. So that was that match. Then moving on, we had the New Day versus the Vaudevillains for the tag titles. And I don't know about you guys. I mean, I like the New Day. I've always been a big fan of them. But maybe I think they're getting to that point, at least with me, where I think they're running a bit thin. That time travel segment that they did on Monday was just awful. I mean, it died a death to the crowd on Raw. And I mean, honestly, unless Stefan or Cal wasn't going to come out of the time machine, the segment was a waste for me. Just a terrible, I don't know, they've just looked like they've kind of died. I mean, they came out with garden tools saying they were going to, lay these hoes, the Vaudevillains, down. I mean, it was just not the best stuff. I mean, it's just hard, but I mean, them as a unit, though, I'm fine with them still being champions, as that's what happened. They were able to retain the Tag Team Championships in this match. I think the Vaudevillains are doing quite well for being, kind of a challenging gimmick to get over on the main roster. Can definitely work in NXT, but those NXT gimmicks have had some struggle getting over on the main roster. I think they did a pretty good job, are doing a pretty good job with the Vaudevillains right now. Yeah, I mean, the story was, once again, the numbers game with the New Day, where Kofi hit a big kick on the apron because Kofi didn't work the match. It was actually Xavier Woods and Big E that worked as members of the New Day. So New Day retain, and I mean, when you look at this tag team division, it's the hottest it's been in for quite some time. Maybe you can have now Anderson and Gallows challenge for it. Or, who's wait and see if they're still waiting on Enzo and them to come back. I expect maybe a rematch on Raw for the Vaudevillains, but who knows. But I was still okay with the right decision in this match with the New Day retaining. And then we went to easily the match of the night and the best match in WWE this year. That'd be the Intercontinental Championship Fatal 4-Way, The Miz versus Cesaro versus Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. Fantastic match. I mean, you had 4 guys just bust their ass and just really prove why they are some of the best in the world here. I mean, Cesaro is just a work of art. Him and Sami Zayn did some beautiful transitions. This match picked up basically. There was a couple near fall spots, and then you had Cesaro get Miz in the giant swing. You thought that was gonna do it. Sami Zayn came and broke up the pinfall. They did this pretty cool sunset flip into a powerbomb spot, which was just flawlessly executed. And then anytime you saw a haluva kick from Zayn on Cesaro, you thought that was it, and Kevin Owens would break it up. And just I liked the ending where it was Sami Zayn had the pinfall on Cesaro after the haluva kick, and then he went for the pinfall. Kevin Owens broke it up, and then Sami Zayn got so frustrated that it was Kevin Owens out there that broke up the pinfall that he decided to just brawl with Owens on the floor, and then the Miz, just like the chicken shit heel, crawls in, gets the pinfall, and retains the Intercontinental Championship. And I mean, it was just so well done. the work rate, the storytelling, and then the finish here. You have now 2 programs that you have gotten out of this, where you can obviously go with Cesaro and Miz having, that, solid singles match for the title, and then maybe Money in the Bank we get Owens and Cesaro finally one-on-one. I don't see that, though. There's another ladder match, and that's kind of where this feud really took off from at WrestleMania, where Owens or Zayn would be my picks to potentially win a Money in the Bank. More looking like Owens, because always the heels, but what have you. And then we get to the Asylum match after we had a bit of a inner break with the panel where they kind of broke down what we'd seen on the pre-show and some of the key points on this pay-per-view. And then we went to the Asylum match, Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho, and this just sucked. I mean, it really did. It was, it was like half an hour, and there were a lot of plotting. They were building their time to take up to the spots, which I appreciate the art form of it. But at this point in the card, with 2 title matches left, and it's not the main event, so they kind of couldn't rush it. Plus, it's a gimmick we've never seen in we've seen cage matches many a time, but this was an official pinfall only or submission only way to get the victory, and it just took forever. They had the weapons, and Mitch the Plant never got used, and then we got the tax. They just took forever to build and tease the tax. Once Jericho did a tack bump, people were, the crowd popped for it. I'm like, I don't need to see tax in 2016. It didn't add anything to the match. If they did that spot 10 minutes or 20 minutes, or maybe 10, 15 minutes earlier, you still get the same reaction. Nothing was gained really in it. I don't know where they go. Jericho's doing his best for Ambrose, but there's something missing in this program where, Ambrose is just dwindling down the card at this rate. This is a guy that needed a big win, whether it was against, Brock, especially against Brock at WrestleMania. Obviously, we knew he wasn't going to beat Triple H at the Roadblock special. But, he's just dwindling. They need to do something with him. He needs to turn heel, per se. I don't know, but this is a character that's just getting lost in the shuffle in my eyes. And then basically the Women's Championship match was Charlotte versus Natalya. Kind of the same thing. These two have great chemistry, but they didn't get enough time that they needed. And the match just felt there. So basically the finish was, of course, with the stipulation if Ric Flair showed up that Charlotte would lose the match and lose the title. Well, Ric Flair's music hit when the sharpshooter was put on by Natty on Charlotte, and then we all thought personally thought it was Little Nate, Charles Robinson, which I thought that would be excellent if it was, but it was not. It was Dana Brooke dressed up in a Ric Flair robe with the wig on, and even had Ric Flair boots. She came down really distracted, Natty, and then Charlotte was able to get the figure 8 on, retain the title. So it looks like now that Emma's been hurt with having her back surgery, that Dana Brooke will be the heavy for Charlotte, which I, kind of like. Plus, they could maybe get some tags out of that. So, Dana Brooke was put in a rough situation coming up, and then the girl they're teamed her with, Emma, who they've had massive success in NXT, then has to go away for back surgery. They at least keep Dana on the main roster. As there's someone that the company really likes in her. So I think her being a heavy in this role, kind of like the Nicole Bass figure that Sable had, does work out. And I expect still a long run for Charlotte as the champion, and maybe even in a couple pay-per-views away or a couple months away from now, we get the Charlotte Dana Brooke feud with Charlotte as babyface with Ric Flair in Dana Brooke's corner. And then the main event, Extreme Rules match for the WWE Championship. AJ Styles challenging Roman Reigns. And first of all, I'm so sick of the crowd just hating on Reigns, chanting, "You can't wrestle." Roman Reigns is a solid pro wrestler. Don't get me wrong. Yes, he may have been in programs and kind of been a complete goof on the microphone when they turned him babyface last year and let him go on his own. But honestly, the guy is a solid pro wrestler. And if he was so bad, why were you not booing him in 2013 with The Shield? I know that there was 2 other solid performers with him, but you wouldn't have been into The Shield as much if Roman Reigns wasn't there. Roman's a solid guy, so please stop your hating towards him. I mean, Styles just bumped his ass off in this match. He took a back body drop from the one, I believe, like the German announce table through the English announce table, and he got at least 5 feet up in the air. They did some powerbomb spots on a table. I mean, and then of course you had your schmoz when you had Gallows and Anderson run down with the Usos. And then, we had 2 Styles clashes, and I'm going to say, if you're going to hit the Styles clash, they got to make the Styles clash AJ's finish. AJ looks like a complete idiot when he goes for the springboard forearm after the Styles clash doesn't work, and then he gets, speared or code breaker or whatever it may be. Just looks like a complete goof when he goes for that. So Roman Reigns hit the spear, pinned AJ Styles, retained the title, and then we had the return of Seth Rollins pedigreeing Roman Reigns right after the match, and then Seth Rollins holds the championship belt up right after, and looks like that's our new program, which is very exciting in my opinion. I mean, of course, they have the story Seth never lost the title, and now Roman's the champion, so that obviously looks like to be maybe the big program for SummerSlam. I could see maybe Seth being in the Money in the Bank and winning that, but that seems kind of pointless at this rate. But they have their big money match for SummerSlam, and they obviously probably do it at the next month's show, Money in the Bank pay-per-view as well. So overall, I give the show a thumbs up. Definitely go out of your way to see it. 2 excellent matches with the Fatal 4-Way Intercontinental title match and the main event. Definitely some of the best wrestling you're going to see on WWE pay-per-views, and this roster right now is just fantastic, and just trying to find ways to get in. But overall, thumbs up. That's going to do it for me. Peace out, and have a good day, everyone.